Okay. All right. Well, welcome everybody to this morning's webinar, or afternoon if you're somewhere in a different time zone. My name is Kirsten Leekman, and I will be your host today. And I am super excited about today's topic. It is about what I'm considering 3 of the essential abilities that those of us who want to help lead into what's been called the great transition, the grand awakening, you know, this moment in time that feels like a portal that has opened up for us to choose collectively as humanity and individually, each of us individually, a different future, something other than what we have been living in. And so I want to make a little confession. Confession is probably not the right word, but so I'm using today's webinar as an experiment because I believe in order for us to change the world, to change how we show up, we have to fundamentally change who we are internally. We have to make this great transition, this grand transition in ourselves, which means we have to dig down into some of the bedrock things that we have believed ourselves to be, and literally take the jackhammer to them and let them go. And so for me, I was a control freak. That's that's my confession today is I grew up in a way that where I developed an incredible need to control everything in my life. And so, I grew up in Germany, so I call myself a recovering German, right? And just to give you a sense of the type of society and the type of quality that I grew up with, I went to one of the last remaining ancient languages schools in Germany. I learned Latin and I learned ancient Greek. Not spoken languages, but they actually gave me a good foundation. But I remember this was probably 5th, 6th grade, somewhere in there. I mean, 10, 11 years old. And our new Latin teacher comes in, okay? Now, you can't make this stuff up. I mean, he literally looked like, one of your ancient, you think of a Roman, person from ancient Rome, he was a mirror of that. So he, pitch black hair, slicked back, a huge eagle nose. I mean, and just piercing eyes. I mean, he scared the bejesus out of us. I mean, he really did. And so here we are, 10, 11 years old. He didn't know our names yet. So he had, a piece of paper and all of our names on there, okay? And he would sit down at his desk and he would take his finger and literally go up and down that list. You knew our names were on there. And here we are just like sitting like freaked out, please, begging, please don't stop on my name. Please don't stop on my name. Please don't stop on my name, right? And so eventually his finger would stop. He would look up at, let's say, you, and he'd go, you, up. Okay, and you had to stand up, at your desk, and then he would, go through whatever homework had been assigned, conjugating some Latin verb. And boy, if you made mistakes, it was pretty awful, to say the least. And so he was an extreme. I'm not saying all of German society was that way, but there was this underlying control. You must control humans in order to have them comply. And therefore, you must develop the ability to control everything around you so that you can lead an effective life, right? And so I developed that really, really strongly. And a lot of my work over the last few years now has been to understand, to see, to see how the tentacles of that need to control everything in my life has woven its way into my life, to go find it and release it, to dissolve it. And so today's webinar is, for me, practicing and experimenting in not having full control. So I'm not, I don't have a slick webinar laid out. I know what I'm going to be talking about. I have the foundation set. I have a vision for where it wants to go. But in that potent in-between space, let's see what we co-create together, what wants to show up. And so, for me, the opposite of control is understanding, where control is, of course, doing all that prep work, but then there's 3 steps. There's taking the risk to let go of control, to let go of the need to be perfect, the need to have it right, let go of any fear of judgment or rejection or any of that. Just let it go. And so risk is the first step. And then you step into trust, trusting that when I'm in that right space, when I'm in that space where no control is needed, I can let it flow. I can just let it flow and see how what I want to say comes out of my mouth, so that we are aligned. We are in a flow together. And so that is how I would like to handle today's webinar. Are we good with that? So why am I doing this webinar today? And really, why am I so excited about this? It is about this portal that I sense, that many of us sense is open right now. This portal is at a moment of choice that we are at as humanity. We are collectively as humanity standing at a choice point right now. We can continue going down the same route we have for the last few hundred years, the last millennia, and really going down and over a cliff. And I'm not saying something that is not now coming into the understanding. Probably not everybody has seen these articles, but there are more and more articles that I'm seeing that basically humanity is in trouble. The world is in trouble. And we are at a moment where there is a convergence of events that are challenging already. I mean, the pandemic is challenging, the economic situation is challenging, but then there is the earth rebalancing that's happening, and the climate change events that are, we've seen already quite challenging ones in that way, but I believe we haven't seen the beginning of it yet. And, we can keep going down the list of really what humanity is facing. And so there is a group of humans that has come into this world at this time, that knew this was going to be a transition time, that knew that there was going to be a portal opening, that these events would not force, but allow for a new possibility to emerge, but we have to choose it. And this group of humans is here to help midwife this transition, to help lead into this transition, to pioneer it. And that is who I want to talk to today, to all of you that are here, because I believe we have to up-level ourselves now. We have to make that grand transition in ourselves first in order for us to be able to help make the choice for the grand global transition. And so when I say leadership, I don't mean just in business. There's generally oftentimes we think leadership is either in governance or in business. But I believe we have to show up as leaders in all areas. Everything about human society has to be rescripted right now. Everything. I mean, you're talking education, you're talking how we grow our foods, how we build our roads, our governance structure, of course, business. All of those areas we have got to restructure and rescript everything from the ground up, from a new way, a new perception of looking at the world. So who am I? Why am I here? So there is really 3 areas that have, over the last 10 years or so, converged to this moment in time. So, part of my background is I come from the business world, and that was really the first area of focus. I've been an entrepreneur pretty much most of my adult life. I ran a multi-million-dollar business with my then now ex-husband, manufacturing ergonomic office chairs. So actually the health was my first focus. And I've been running businesses and basically being an entrepreneur most of my life. And then I understood that sustainability was my first love, really. I grew up in a most glorious place in the world in southern Germany. And so I've always had a love for the earth. And I started realizing how damaging humanity's tenure on Earth has been. And so I started embedding into everything I was doing this lens of sustainability. How can we live and thrive on Earth without being a wrecking ball through every ecosystem? And so, I did an MBA in sustainable management, where literally we looked at operations through the lens of sustainability, and finance and economics. We looked at everything through that lens of sustainability, and that has been a thread for me throughout everything I've done. But really over the last, decade or so, this consciousness, this area of consciousness, or what we're now calling waking up 100%, has come in really strongly for me. And it's about understanding that we cannot change the world unless we change ourselves. And many of us have done, work in consciousness, and we've done personal development. We have done a lot of spiritual work, and it's got us to this moment in time. And I believe now is the time that we need to make the next leap. We need to make another leap. We cannot sit on our laurels of how far we have come so far. We have, done a lot of work, and now it's time for that next level. So let's go into these 3 areas that I believe are essential abilities of this new leadership that needs to show up. The first essential ability is to become 100% self-observer. Okay, so what I mean by that is that we have gotten really good at understanding this notion of seeing ourselves. And in a lot of ways, we have done a huge amount of work through the processing arena, through this this seeing the drama, seeing the emotions, and then trying to process it. And that worked for a while. It's shown some of the bigger arenas where we needed to take care of some of our fears and the anxieties that have been part of who we've been, part of this residual self. But I believe we need to develop some better abilities now. And so I created this little chart here that it's a continuum that is really essential for this next level. So you can see, there's most humanity right now is about 5% awake. And that is simply a stage of evolution. This is not a judgment or a blame or anything like that. It's just looking at where are we as humanity on the evolutionary stage, on the evolutionary development. And you can literally measure awakeness by how much you are in your brain. And I was talking to somebody just the other day, and she's like, oh my God, life is just flying by so fast. And we talked about the fact that when you're in your brain and you're not present, the brain is chattering away about everything, you're not awake. And so time just slips by so fast. So we'll be talking in a moment about presence and quieting brain. It slows everything down. So 5% awake is where and on average humanity is right now. And that's where you see the unconscious drama just playing out. And you're seeing that in the world right now. It's the side taking and the hatred and the dissonance and the anxieties and the fears. When you're 5% awake, all of that just is functioning at the unconscious level. You are not aware that that's happening. You get angry and you have no way of dealing with it. So then as we wake up a little bit more, we start noticing, oh, I'm in anxiety, I'm in anger. And so what we have done over the last few decades is learning to process that, the psychology route, the therapy route. And so there's been a lot of that, and it's helped move the needle a little bit, absolutely. But now what we're asked to do is we're asked to become observers of ourselves, to not only notice, but to observe what is going on inside of us, to observe it from a neutral place, not from a place where when you see it, you're afraid of the emotion, or you're just too embarrassed to see it. You still are the emotion. No, it's becoming so unconditional about what you're seeing, to see yourself from a place of no judgment, from self-love, but you're so curious about what you're seeing. You want to see every shred of it. You want to unearth what is literally pulling your strings. When you're in drama, when you're in emotion, when you are in that place where the emotions just take you off, they're pulling your strings. They're in charge of how you feel and how you act. That's how it works. And the only way to stop that is to step outside of the emotion and turn your gaze onto yourself. And I know there's this notion of navel gazing, and there's been some snideness about, oh yeah, navel gazing. I actually believe that gazing at yourself, observing yourself, is the key that will let you out of the prison of drama and trauma. And that's when you can step out and become the leader that this new world needs. But if you are not turning that gaze on yourself, you're going to be getting drawn into the fear and hysteria that is going to be happening in this world. The only way you're going to stay outside of that is to become that 100% observer. And that is, you know, I put 100% observer not quite at the 100% awake. I don't know what fully 100% awake yet feels like. And so I don't know if there's something after that. So I didn't want to be so arrogant to say, you know, 100% observer equals 100% awake. I have a feeling that there is a one-to-one relationship, but you know, this 100% observer is that state of being where you are absolutely curious to find every little shred inside yourself that is still pulling your strings, every little shred of tweak and contraction and anxiety and fear and doubt and everything. You want to see it so clearly. You know, the other day I was wearing this black bra and I kept feeling just this weird sensation in one area. It felt sort of odd and it was getting a little red, but you know, as I was, you know, moving my finger over it and I couldn't feel anything, but there was something that was off there. And so at night when I got into my pajamas, I took this bra and I totally like really gently, but with complete focus, just let my finger slowly move around that area that was the irritant. And lo and behold, all of a sudden I felt this itty bitty tiny little, what turned out to be like a splinter, a tiniest little splinter. And I pulled it out. And that took care of it. That is the level of subtlety to which we now need to take our observer. We are no longer willing to let any shred of subtle anxiety be part of our experience anymore. We're not willing to let a shred of doubt be part of our experience. We're not willing to let any shred of anger, irritation, judgment, blame, contraction, and I could go on and on and on. In order to become the leaders, the conscious business leaders, the educators, the ones that are going to grow the food, we need to be so subtle with our observer that we see every little splinter that is still there, keeping us from being fully present, fully here, fully enjoy, fully open and expanded. That is what I believe we need to get to, and we need to practice. And that is where the 100% observer is the first essential ability of a leader of this great transition. If we can't be our own observer, how can we observe the next level of where we want to go? The next essential ability is what I'm calling presence. And there's subcategories of the quiet brain and accessing knowingness. This was around 2002, I believe now. And this was the time when I had this business with my ex-husband. And, we were doing the typical, entrepreneurial, work. We were working, 16 hours, 18 hours a day. We, brought it into our home. We brought it into literally the bedroom. And I can't remember how many nights we would be laying in bed talking business. I was in stress and anxiety. I was so wound up that I ended up getting, a migraine that really lasted for at least a decade. And it was during that time that our marriage was not good. And I was in this, you probably can relate to this. You need to make a pretty monumental decision. And it goes like this. Should I stay? Should I go? Should I stay? Should I go? Should I stay? Should I go? I mean, I was constant. Every day was a different thing. I should make this work. I'm loyal. I should stay in this marriage, but I am miserable. I should go, but how on earth am I going to unwind this life that I've built with this person? How on earth am I going to get out of the marriage and the business and the house? I don't know how to do it. So maybe I should make it work. And I mean, it was just like, can you relate to this fretting about making decisions? It's so ingrained in us. We are terrible at making decisions, especially big ones. And let me know if you can relate here, and put it in the chat. Anyway, so I had a mentor at the time, just I mean, one of the most outrageous human beings I've ever met. I mean, cowboy hat, black trench coat over a silk purple shirt with beads, Native American beads, cowboy boots, jeans. I mean, this guy was a character, and he was deeply steeped into pagan, spiritualities, pagan rituals. And so, and the Celtic side of it. And so he basically, during this time, invited me to go on a 3-day vision quest. Never done anything like that. I've never fasted in my life. I mean, all of it was completely brand new to me, but I was just like, I trusted him. So I was like, okay, I'll go. Really no idea what I was getting myself into. And so we went into just outside San Diego, about 2 hours outside of San Diego. And I had read that the second day of fasting tends to be the most challenging of them all, where, the grumpies start, and maybe the physical symptoms of detox. And it's just, the second day is just not a good day. And so I thought, good German logic, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the travel day the first day of fasting. I won't eat during traveling, so that my second day of fasting would be the first day in the desert. And then I would have 2 good days, right? Good German logic. So no food on the travel day, right? So we meet up in San Diego. He's coming from Nashville, Tennessee, and we meet up at the airport and rent our car and start driving. And oh my God, I mean, it's just like, there's nothing. This is just barren land once you start going outside of San Diego, and you're kind of hugging that US-Mexican border, right? And so you're driving, and it just gets less and less plants, certainly no animals that we can see. I mean, it's just desert. And so, he's driving about 2 hours east, and then he takes this road, and now we're going a little north and into this. There's a small mountain range, and I'm putting mountain range in quotation marks. And so we get to the base of these little mountains, and that's where we stop. Middle of bloody nowhere. I mean, it was just like, oh my God. And so we unpack our stuff, and it is windy as heck. And so we had our opening ceremony to do. And so we find this little, it was like a little ravine. You know, this is one of those areas where the monsoon rains come through, and you know, they just carve out these fairly narrow little ravines. I mean, I literally could touch the edges of this ravine, and it was maybe, you know, 3-4 heads taller than me, so fairly narrow. And that's where we put our little fire. You know, we had to make a fire and for the opening ritual. And so that night, here we're sitting in this, you know, around this fireplace, you know, tucked into this ravine. And now we open up the ceremony. We open up the vision quest. And so, you know, every time we called somebody in, you know, it was, you know, spirit, we had to give something back. You know, they were gifting their time. And so we had to give something back. And what we're giving back is spirit water, which is pure whiskey, and spirit tobacco. So every time we called anybody in to be, you know, ancestors, friends, you know, from the angelics, whatever, you know, we called them all in, and, you know, swig of whiskey and a puff of tobacco. And we called a lot in. Now, remember, I had not eaten anything, and I was a lightweight anyway when it comes to alcohol. So by the end of the ceremony, it was a little bit hard to get up. Let's put it that way. And so we had put our sleeping bags at the end, you know. And so at that night, you know, I got up and I'm like, oh my God, I have to throw up. Nowhere to go this way, not too far to get out of the ravine. The only place I could think of was the fireplace. And so here I am, volleying whiskey into this fireplace. I go, volley, and this thing goes boom. I mean, it was, I created literally fireworks in the desert. So, and that kept going on for a while. Damn you, Hackett, damn you, Hackett. Anyway, what it did, what I thought it would do was give me a massive headache the next day and hangover. It did not. It cleared me out. It was the cleansing that I needed, and I was good to go for the next 3 days. You know, ready to do my pros to stay in my marriage or my con to stay in my marriage. I was going to think this through, and I was nice and clear now. So we set ourselves up in our, you know, in our places, you know, 10-foot circles. That's all we were allowed. Water was what we were allowed. No food. You know, this was for the next 3 days where I was going to be, and I was going to have the time and the spaciousness to think it through, right? How often do we do that? Is finally have time to think it through. Well, here's what happened: is rather than about the first, you know, 4, 5, 6 hours, brain is just racing. I mean, that thing was like a dog off leash, all over the place, no focus whatsoever. But as the day progressed and as the night progressed, and then the next day, what happened is my brain got more and more and more quiet. I was watching the commute of a lizard. A hummingbird came and stayed with me. And it was like I became more and more present. There was absolutely, the thinking stopped. And I was there, and the experience became richer and richer and richer. And there was no pro and con list. There was no thinking through anything. I had no desire to think through anything. I just wanted to be present. Now, was I hoping for some vision or something? Absolutely. I was hoping for something. But those 3 days, what happened is I got quiet, and, you know, really no outcome yet. I was like, okay, all right, I feel much better, I feel great, but no decision yet. And then I went to visit a friend that first night out. She was living in Escondido, which is just north of San Diego, so that I didn't have to fly that night, the morning after. And so That night at her place, I had a dream. And that dream was me sitting around the table with my childhood friends. Now, they were adults in my dream, but these are the people that I grew up with. And I remember telling them, I'm divorcing my husband. And that was it. No pro and con list. No, what should I do? What's the best? Complete clarity, absolute knowingness, and most importantly, all the fear gone, completely gone. The certainty was so profound. It was amazing. And there it was. There it was. And the way I got there was not by thinking things through, but by letting the brain go quiet. And out of that quiet, the solution emerged. It revealed itself. And I flew home and I told him, I'm leaving. There was absolutely no more fretting. I hope you feel the power of what I'm saying. We have tried to think our way through everything. We think the brain is this amazing thing that is going to help solve all problems. It's the opposite. The brain needs to be under your authority. The brain only needs to be used when you say it needs to be used. Other than that, you go quiet, you become present, and from that space, the solutions we need will reveal themselves. They will reveal themselves if we can get out of our own way. And so the second ability of a leader that is going to help with this transition is going to be this ability to become present completely and quiet the brain so that your intuition, your knowingness can bring the solutions. And we need solutions to emerge that are completely disruptive of the way we've been doing it. So we need to disconnect from what we have believed to be true up till now. We have to completely disconnect from that so that the space opens in the quiet to reveal completely new solutions, a new way of designing this world, a new way of being together as humanity. So 100% observer allows you to see what still is there in terms of resistance and doubt and anxiety and fear, and observe it and let it go through that process. And presence and quiet brain, once you're clear, allows the solutions to emerge. It's a really powerful thing. And this is another way where, you know, for those of us who've been doing this work, you know, we know this. It's one of those ways in which we need to let go of control. The brain thinks it needs to be in control, and to try to go quiet is a monumental effort. I mean, just do this with me right now, just for a moment. I'll guide you through a little, you know, not a meditation, but a little guided thing, and see if you can let your brain completely go quiet and be the 100% observer, you know, throughout the entire process, to see what resistance might show up, what control might show up. Is like, oh no, you have to start thinking, you know, start thinking about your shopping list right now. This is really important right now. I mean, this is what the brain does. It pops in the most random things. I mean, it just takes one thing and off it goes, you know, into that direction when they have no relevance to the present moment at all. So just right now, just imagine yourself, You're driving down a freeway. You are going at, 120 miles an hour. This is your brain, going at 120 miles an hour. This is the metaphor. You're driving down a freeway. You're in a car. It's just, you're rushing, 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 rushing. Just feel that, feel the brain just going through all of this gyrations as you're driving down this freeway. And now you see a sign that says rest stop, 1 mile. And so you start slowing down, slowing down, slowing down, so that you can take that exit. So feel your brain just slowing down. Just observe it now. Start observing your brain and letting it go quiet. And now you come to the exit. And now just take the exit, slowing down that brain. You are coming into the present. Just be with yourself. Come into the present. And now you find a parking spot in the most glorious place. You're surrounded by nature, whatever it is that you love. And you're pulling into that parking space. Your brain's getting quieter and quieter. Parking space. Pull the parking brake, and you turn off the car. Turn off the brain. No thinking. Be present. Be with yourself. No narration. No thinking. Let's do that for just 15 seconds. Stay with it. Okay, that was 15 seconds. How was that? Were you able to stay present? Did the brain try to come in immediately? What did you notice about any anxiety showing up by being present? Just pop it into the chat if you had if you noticed something. That was just 15 seconds. What if you could be present for 15 minutes? Absolutely no thinking for 15 minutes. What would that be like? Where you're completely with everything that is around you, with everything. Yeah. Elizabeth, that's exactly it. That's the brain. You did it for a minute, getting quiet, and then you got excited about what you're doing and started to congratulate yourself and doing it. That's the brain wanting to pop in there and say, good job, good job. We do that exactly, But what if we could be quiet for 15 minutes or an hour to just be in silence, to allow the space to open up for those solutions to come in, for those solutions to expand into you? What would that be like? And I believe that is an absolutely essential ability that we have to develop as leaders if we want to help this grand transition, so that those solutions that we need to come up with can come in, not from our brain, but from our knowingness and our intuition. And so then the third ability is what I'm calling listening. And all three of these abilities weave in together, as you can see. And again, these are just three of the abilities. There is a whole suite of abilities that I believe we can develop that is going to help supercharge this grand transition. it's a huge palette. It's a mosaic that is going to come together for us to step into this new paradigm, this new world. So these three abilities are just three of them. And, in our courses, we teach, all of these abilities. We go through them. There's a step-by-step process that we take people through to allow them to step into this new leadership that is required right now. And so listening naturally flows out of being present. So just imagine you're in full presence right now and your brain is quiet. Now you turn your focus onto listening. This is not a brain listening. This is a listening with your being. In fact, I had an interesting experience the other day. I was running, jogging, and I was doing one of our meditations. And so I was practicing being present throughout the run. There's this one park I run through that just has these most glorious cottonwoods. They are ancient beings. I mean, I don't know how old they are, but they have, the massive trunks, and their canopy is just gorgeous and beautiful. One of them, part of it has already died off. It's like the ancient master of them. And I just love running past them and with such presence with them, and reverence and gratitude for their presence. And there's this, I feel like there is this exchange that happens. And so I was running past this beautiful grass field that had just turned that gorgeous golden dry color, before it goes gray, there's this beautiful golden color. And so I was fully present with that, and I was looking at it and practicing being present. And all of a sudden I had this drop down into my solar plexus region, which is just below the sternum, which is where literally another brain is in development. When you look at pictures of the nervous system in that area, it's a spaghetti pile of nerves, and a lot of activity is happening there. I'm sure you're familiar. When you go into anxiousness or fear, it oftentimes sits in the solar plexus. But when you can quiet that down and dissolve those emotions, it opens up this ability of this, we're calling a feeling brain, to open up. And so as I was looking at this field of beautiful grass, all of a sudden I went into listening to this field from my solar plexus, basically feeling this wheat field, this grass field. And it was a game changer for me. So rather than trying to just focus with my eyes, which is a direct link to the brain, and it takes a huge amount of effort to stay present, by dropping into my solar plexus area, all of a sudden my brain, its focus was on staying focused on the solar plexus, and my ability to feel the field became like magnified by 100,000. And it was this beautiful experience of just joy and expansion and connection that I hadn't experienced in that way. And so I've been practicing listening with my solar plexus, with my feeling brain now, more than my ears or my eyes even. And so when I talk about listening, it happens at different levels. So there's the internal listening. There's the listening that you do when you are 100% observer, when you are in fascination to see where are all the tweaks and the emotions and the drama and the anxiety still sitting, and taking it there and just listening and being present with that until it dissolves. That's one internal listening, and listening, where are you off balance? It's like a scanner. You're listening, your internal listening at 100% observer is like like a scanner. I mean, when I've done coaching calls and I would ask people to start observing themselves, sometimes it's in the legs. You know, it can be at different places where these tensions and the resistance sits. And so you want to find that. I mean, if it's in the little toe, you want to know that. That's internal listening. But then as we step out as leaders, you start becoming a listener externally. And I'm putting that in quotation marks. You listen outside and you listen, where are the imbalances outside? What am I feeling? Where can I add life to bring balance back? And then as a leader of, let's say, a team, now when you're in 100% observer of yourself, so you don't have any emotional reactions, you are fully present with quiet brain in a team meeting, and you are listening with full active attention and mindful receiving. So it's a two-way thing. Normally we tend to make listening just a one-way street, but you want to practice listening by giving your full attention. I mean, what causes a lot of drama is the need for attention. People seek attention. People want to know they're significant. People want to know you approve of them. And so the drama in teams often comes from, here, give me attention, you know, and if I don't get it in a positive way, I'm going to be the weirdo in the room, the drama person in the room to, you know, to get your attention. So what if you could be so present with that person that they feel seen and heard, and then you receive them with total mindfulness, and now you have a loop that goes, and that is active listening. That is listening from a leaderful place. And from that, you then respond without having thought about what you're going to say, without rehearsing in your brain while they're already talking what you're saying. Now you can let emerge what wants to be said once that person is complete. I mean, how often are we in meetings and we're listening to somebody, or just a one-on-one, and you're not even really hearing what the person is saying. You're already formulating what it is that you want to insert after that. The leadership of the new paradigm has got to learn to listen fully and be fully present. And, you know, let's go back to the beginning, to let go of any control of what comes out of your mouth. When you can be in flow, the right thing will come out of your mouth, and it'll be, you know, it'll shock you sometimes, like, wow, I didn't even know I knew that. But if you're already in your brain, you know, thinking about what you're going to say, you're going to shut down that ability to be fully with the person and letting that knowingness come out. So those are the 3 essential abilities that I believe we all need to cultivate in order to help this transition be effective, to make the choice for this transition, for the world we want to create. Being the 100% observer of yourself. And, you know, obviously there are tools you need to develop when you see yourself being in, you know, any kind of an emotional reaction, be it anxiety, be it the resistance or the doubt, or anything, you know, anything that you find in yourself. You know, there have to be tools in order for you to then deal with it. Now, as I said in the beginning, processing is no longer an effective tool. You can talk to me, you know, 1,000 years from now with processing. So there are much more effective tools with which you can deal with that drama and trauma, where you don't have to relive it anymore. We're done with reliving drama and trauma. That is over. we need to take the next leap. We need to go to the next level. And there are powerful tools. Notice and observe, check egos. There are powerful tools that we have that we then take you through. So no, 100% observer, first one. Being quiet in your brain and full presence is the second one. And listening, real, true, quiet brain listening, active attention, mindful receiving, listening is the third one. And those are foundational to everything that we're going into right now. That is when you can show up with your full self, the authentic self of who you are, with expanded view, with knowingness coming in joy, not being pulled into drama and trauma, not being pulled into the hysteria and the fear of the world. You show up calm and centered and open and bringing in the solutions that we need. That these abilities are absolutely foundational. But as you can tell, this is a beginning. This is a foundation setting process. And so what we need to do is allow ourselves, what I call spiritual humility, and what I mean by that is to say, what, I really don't know much yet. I've done a good amount of work and I have gotten quite a good ways in this lifetime, but I am ready for the next leap and I don't know everything. I am not the teacher. I am not, fully there yet. I am open. I am curious, so curious to see, what is the next level. And so what I would like, if you would bear with me for a moment, would love to just share what could potentially be a next step for you. We have, a whole bunch of different offerings, but I wanted to give you the possibility of, what could be a small next step. And so there is a course that Rennie and I taught live a few months ago, actually, called Cultivating Unshakable Inner Resilience. And we have converted that course into a self-study course. So something that you can do on your own very quickly and get the most profound foundation for you to take this next leap. And so let's just go through this. So what you will learn in this course, first of all, you will gain an A to Z understanding of what fear really is, how it's created, and how to move out of its tractor beam. I mean, you all probably have felt this. It's like that you have some fear come in, and all of a sudden it's like a self-perpetuating motor. The fear begets more fear, the thoughts become fearful, which create more fear, and all of a sudden you're in this tractor beam, and it is almost impossible to pull yourself out of fear unless you just, push it down until, you've numbed yourself out from it. So what you will learn in this course, literally what fear is, how is it created, and then how you can move out of it. You will learn how to step into the calm-centered, fear-free state of being no matter what is going on in the world. And how valuable is that? Everybody's freaking out about the pandemic, or freaking out about, the limits, the mask requirements, and there is a freak out on both sides. And, there's the side taking and this anger and all that. That is all a tractor beam as well. And you want to stay out of that side. It's not which side you're on, it's side taking itself that is the problem. And so you want to learn to just stay in your beauty, stay in your calm centered, no matter what's going on in the world. You're going to get very clear, concise, no fluff, step-by-step tools and practices to maintain your inner feel-good state of being. How valuable would it be for you to be able to feel, take the observer, notice that you're in irritation. You woke up on the wrong side, on the wrong side of the bed, right? And you're just irritated and not feeling good. How valuable would it be for you to be able to say, no, I choose to feel good right now, and be able to just do that. Change from irritation to open, change from anger to joy, change from fear to fear-free in a nanosecond. So you're going to get the foundation of how to do that in this course, and how to cultivate your inner resilience that is truly unshakable. If we need leaders that are unshakable by what's going on in the world, now is the time, and now is the time to learn how to be unshakable and how to move into flow, trust, and knowingness as your guide in life, so you can be at the right time, at the right place, always. And that is one of the key things. When you can quiet your brain, when you can let go of control, when you can go into trust, real trust, then you will feel the pull this way, and you'll go this way. Or you had plans to, drive down to whatever, Denver, and something inside of you just gently, not with fear, but sort of tugging you to go, no, you don't want to go today. That's knowingness. And maybe there was an accident that you would have been in, but your knowingness pulls you into a different direction. That's flow, that's trust. And we got to learn that. We want to be able to trust our knowingness and that flow of life. And that will mean you will be always at the right place at the right time. And so let's just look at who this is for, because, not everybody is ready for this, and that's okay. But if you feel that this time is the golden opportunity for a leap of life in yourself, for a next level of human potential, however you want to call it, a stage of awareness, whatever, we are able at the moment, we have the know-how to make this leap of life right now. And if you sense that this is a golden opportunity right now, and that you are ready for that, this is definitely for you. Oops, hold on. If you are open to the possibility that there is new information in the world. I mean, I know we rely on spiritual masters and those that have come before, and I deeply honor them. And what if there is new information? What if there is an opening now to something that is beyond our current understanding of what we've been able to pull in so far? And the only way you can know that is if you open up to the possibility of that. So if you're open, then this is a great opportunity for you. Whoops. If you're open, curious, and a student state of being, again, this is what I was talking about with the spiritual humility. It's just letting ourselves know that, what, there is more here, and I am so curious. And if you're interested in precision and clarity and no fluff, I love spirituality. I've done a lot of it in my life. I've been on that path. But one of my challenges has been that there hasn't been like here is how you do it. Here's how you understand who you are, what's pulling your strings, how to step out of it, and how to become who you've always been. And that's what this offers. So, if you like that, if you like no fluff, this is absolutely for you. I'm going the wrong way here. There we go. So this is not for you. I just, I'm being really transparent and open here, that this is not for you if you are satisfied that you have learned everything that you need to manage, your fear, worry, anxiety, stress. If you think you've got that licked, this is probably not for you. And here's my caution with you. And I got a call from one of the people that are in our training. And, he had been maintaining that, I don't feel a lot of fear. I really don't. And so over the course of about a month or so, we had a coaching call, and he suddenly said, you know what? I realized that it's not that I'm not feeling fear. It's so in my background. It's my background noise. It's my baseline that I didn't even realize it's there. But with the 100% observer work that we've been doing, all of a sudden he was able to recognize that the baseline where he was actually was filled with a lot of anxiety and a lot of worry and a lot of fear. And so that's my only caution, is when I hear somebody say, yeah, I don't have any worry, fear, anxiety, stress, say, look deeper, really see, because the other question is, then are you completely in joy 100% of the time? Are you in gratitude 100% of the time, expanded, open, curious all the time? If you can't say that, then there's probably still something to see. This is also not for you if you're wanting to have feel-good spiritual band-aids without doing real deep work. I hate to say it, but when you go into 100% observer, you got to be willing to see what's there. And a lot of what we're teaching is, don't be afraid anymore of what's there. We don't have to be afraid of our fear. We don't have to be afraid of the irritation or the frustration, or be embarrassed about it, or feel guilty. Those are all the secondary emotions that come in when we start seeing, oh my God, look how judgmental I've been. Oh my God, I can't believe. You don't want to do that either. So 100% observer is looking deep, and it's looking, but it's not looking with judgment, self-judgment or fear about it. But we don't give spiritual band-aids here. So, you need to be willing to do some deep work. If you're feeling more comfortable joining the rest of humanity and its rush into fear and hysteria, and as I put that in, I was just like, I don't mean that tongue in cheek. I really don't. And the reason I'm saying that is that there is a vortex that happens when fear and anxiety starts spinning, and it draws you in. And there's number one, there's often an expectation from society for you to be part of the drama and the trauma and the fear and the hysteria. And it's almost an affront if you don't share it. And so there's judgment that might come at you. Or there's an addiction to the chemistry that comes with being part of it. So, don't take this as a tongue in cheek. There's a real danger, and it can be more comfortable to just go with the hysteria. We need to stay aware and outside of it in order to be able to step up. And if you've lost all hope for the future of humanity, like there's zero shred of hope in you, you might want to look at finding 1% hope, and then this work is for you. But if there's absolutely nothing you feel we can ever do, and it's doomed and we're done, this is probably not the work for you. But, if there's just a sliver of hope, then absolutely you want to be doing this work. And so, as I said, we did this course live, and these are some of the people that did it live with us. And we did, so she says, I cannot tell you in words how empowered and peaceful this course made me feel. I was able to feel how powerful and in control I am of my life, even during such a fearful time for the collective. If you are open to step into a new way of being, are ready to gain inner knowing of your personal power and become in touch with your authentic self, I highly recommend this course to you. Much love. So that was Olivia. And then Barbara, I won't read all of it, you can read it yourself, but she says the timing couldn't have been better in this period of collective fear and anxiety. This training has so much more relevance and depth than any surface approach, even as an introductory course. I felt I could be in control of my emotions instead of the other way around. It was a truly transformative experience. So, you know, these are people that did it with us, and, you know, this is what they experienced. And 4 modules to this course, okay? The first module, we're going to talk about how to maintain what we're calling inner hygiene. Okay, so when we get affected by the outside, when we are in our emotional unwellness, and we don't know how to step out of it, that's when trouble starts. So the trouble starts when we don't have the inner hygiene, the emotional hygiene. And so this first module is all about how do we get ourselves grounded and centered and calm and into the space that lays the foundation for us to step out. The second one we're calling energetic social distancing. You know, we're asked to physically social distance, but yet we put so much effort into being socially, energetically connected, and we have no idea what it is that we're doing, how we're connecting through circuits and through, you know, dumping emotional debris into our biofield. And there's all these different ways in which we can get affected by the outside world, and we have got to learn to completely step into our own beauty serenity bubble. If we don't, you're going to get buffeted around unbeknownst to you. You'll feel fear suddenly, and you're, where the heck did that just come from? Well, you might have just connected with your circuit to the collective unconscious, and it's just pouring that fear into you. What do you do to disconnect? And so that is one of the things that you're going to be learning. And then module 3 is all about fear, understanding fear, what it is, how to step out of it. I mean, A to Z on, you know, basically it's our third life principle, check egos, you know, with notice and observe. And then the 4th module is about stepping into your state of being, choosing the state of being that you want to be in, and you're going to learn about how to do that. So the way it is the moment you sign up, you get access to the first module. We've broken up the course into very short, bite-sized videos. There is worksheets that go with it. And so you can go at your own pace. You can do one video at a time. You can do all of them at once. I don't recommend that. I recommend you practice, you know, what is being taught. But yeah, so you just go through it on your own too. So let me just quickly show you where to sign up. I hope you will take this opportunity to really step into the foundation we need to create this new world we want. We have all got to show up right now. We have got to step up and up level ourselves, and this is the foundation to do that. So let's see if there was any questions. Elizabeth, there are days when cord cutting is much harder and takes much longer, and the trauma stays in my brain and body these days. But I can't imagine how little I'd be sleeping without these tools, for which I'm forever grateful. Love you guys so much. Yay, thank you for that. Yeah, you know, these tools are powerful. They work if you do them, but there is the precision about them. That's part of this no fluff approach that I was talking about. You know, this is not about, you know, chords and they're sort of here and we cut them sort of. No, we show you exactly where in the body they lodge in, where the roots are, where you cut them, how, you know, how often you should cut them, how to do it in an ease and grace way. You do it, and you do it morning and evening, and you know, there is a precision to it, to everything that we teach. So this is not fluff spirituality. This is getting down and dirty and deep, and seeing everything to absolutely walk out of the prison of this human condition once and for all. We are not bound by human nature to be in our emotions. We are not bound by human nature to be in drama and trauma. That is one of my pet peeve phrases, is, you know, it's just human nature. I'm just being human. I say BS. That's a cop out. That's not understanding who we truly are, who we are at the essence. And we are not our emotions at the essence. We are feelings. We make a distinction between the two. Yes, we are joy, we are expansion, we are gratitude, we're openness, we're curiosity. That's who we are. We're not the drama and the trauma and the anxiety and the fear and the hysteria and the irritation and the judgment. It's not who we are. And when we say it's just human nature, we're not taking responsibility. And part of being a leader in this time is that we have to take responsibility 100% for everything we're experiencing, for how we function in the world, for quieting our brain and taking charge of that. We have to take that step now. Sally said, fear, forgetting everything is all right. Yep. False evidence appearing real. You know, there's so many acronyms for fear, and we have these lovely acronyms, but do we truly, truly believe them at the core of our being? Have we rooted out the doubt to forgetting everything is all right? How deeply do you really believe that? And that is the work that we do, and that's the work of this inner resilience course. That's where we start getting deep and deep into it. So if you have any questions, you know, feel free to email me. I am happy to talk to you about it and see if this is right for you. Yeah. So with that, we are complete for today. I so deeply appreciate you taking time to be with me today and to meander this journey to 100% awake. I believe, here's my final statement, I believe 100% awake is what is going to reveal all of the solutions to all of the quandaries and all of the problems humanity is facing. When we can actually wake up 100%, remove all the distractions and emotional debris that is here, that is clouding us right now. If we can observe ourselves 100%, if we can come into presence and quiet brain, if we can get into listening and develop all of the other qualities of 100% awake, the solutions and the way to choose to move through this portal that just has opened will reveal itself. We don't have to push and shove and force anything. It will reveal itself with ease and grace. 100% awake will reveal all solutions. We just have to do the work to get 100% awake, and that's here. And that inner resilience course is absolutely the foundation for that. So again, ffh.org/inner resilience, all lowercase. All right, with that, I'm signing off. Much love to you all, and I will see you soon. Bye.